Welcome to This Academic Life, episode 72.
This episode is sponsored by the School of Engineering at Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, or RPI. Did you know that RPI is the first and the oldest technological university in the English-speaking world? We're celebrating RPI's 200th birthday. Yes, you heard that right, 200th anniversary in 2024. We'll tell you much more about it as the celebrations commence.
Hi, I am Kim Michelle Lewis, Professor of Physics and Associate Dean for Research.
Hi, my name is Lucy Zhang. I'm a professor of mechanical engineering.
Hi, I'm Pania Newell. I'm also a professor of mechanical engineering. Finance holds a universal significance, influencing every aspect of people's lives, regardless of their background or occupation. From basic needs like food and shelter to more complex needs such as education and healthcare, financial resources enable accessing opportunities and improving one's quality of life. Whether it's saving for retirement, investing in personal growth, or simply managing day-to-day expenses, a solid understanding of finance is essential for successfully navigating the complexity of modern life and achieving long-term goals. In today's episode, we will talk about an important yet often overlooked aspect of academia, faculty and finances. Let's start by asking, why should everyone know about their finances?
I guess I'll start. This is my favorite topic. Well, finances for sure provides stability. It also provides a sense of control. So I think regardless what profession we're in, it's important that we manage them in an effective manner. Certainly the bottom line is you don't spend more than what you make. For sure, that is the bottom line, but also there are decisions you have to make. So we all come in to each one of our employers. They all provide certain ways to invest your money, invest in a way to prepare for your retirement, to best prepare for upcoming spendings. So some basic budgeting skills that you would need to have. And for me, the biggest one is certainly retirement. I also have kids, so I need to think about what do I do with their college if they decide to go to college when it's time. So those are my big future spendings that I need to think about. So for sure, financial security comes into our daily lives. So it's very important in that sense.
Thank you, Lucy. So these items that you mentioned, do they translate to even faculty members, or are there any other additional things that a faculty member should be aware of when it comes to their finances?
In my personal experience, not at all, but it doesn't mean it's not the same for other people. In my personal experience, it's different type of management because say you have a project, it comes with money. So you have a funding. Typically, they have a spending limit and also spending periods. So the goals are different. One is to save in my personal side, but for the projects, my goal is to spend. So I think the objectives are quite different, and I manage them quite differently as well. There are very predictable amount of budgeting in terms of, let's say, supporting students, supporting their stipend as well as tuition. So that needs to go, and you plan based on the budgeting years. And yeah, your job is not to save. Your job is to spend and spend them wisely, hopefully. And you also spend in a manner that's aligned with your research direction. So I think because the goals are so different, you manage them so differently. And a lot of it is not even really managed by you. So the university budget is managed by finance administrators in your department or in your school or in the research center or wherever the money sits. Once a while, a good staff will come and update me with those numbers. I don't do like a daily or weekly tab on how much I've spent and how much I have left. So when maybe once a quarter, they send me an overall overview of the project, and I say, oh, great, I have this amount of money left, and that's sort of in line with what my prediction. But oftentimes I don't proactively check.
So how can faculty members learn about managing their finances? What are the tools and resources available?
One resource is to go to your bank. Oftentimes, your bank has investment bankers that you can speak to about your finances. The other option is some universities do have benefits fairs where you can go and speak to a representative from your retirement plan. And most often they will allow you to schedule an appointment with them. And that has also been helpful. I know that at the university I'm at now, a team of them came in and just had a big seminar to talk about the different types of plans, because I think it was a request from the faculty that they felt a little bit lost. I think we were switching over to a different retirement plan. And so faculty felt a little bit lost with filling out the paperwork, and they just had a team of the representatives just come and give a huge seminar. It was an auditorium full of just faculty members that were asking questions. So those are the two resources that I am aware of that you can use.
That's really interesting because in my previous job, I remember that, yeah, they had this like a big auditorium full of people and they were talking about finances, but I haven't seen it in my current institute. I think it's very essential to have those once in a while, at least not like happening every month, but once in a while, maybe within every college, just to raise awareness and also to educate faculty about the importance of their finances. Because as Lucy mentioned out, we have these automatic systems that it shows how much we are spending, and there are some other people that they are checking on those, and then we just approve things. But nobody's checking our personal finances, and we don't necessarily learn about different options unless we seek advice.
I think there are two ways. So I see a lot of people who are not interested in learning about this field or what options that they have. They hire a financial advisor. So, and then they're very happy about that. So once a while, they get a report to see where they are in terms of finances. And then there's another group that includes me, who knows the in and outs and interests, take an interest in it early on, and, just kind of play with it. I don't want to say I don't trust financial advisors. I think just because it fits my personal interest, I enjoy doing it. I don't trust it myself. Like, what can they do better than I do? So, of course, that's my own personal experience, and that's my own personal interest. I take great amount of interest in this. So I do a lot of research in this field myself. So, if I ever leave academics, this will be my second job or my
You can
backup.
become my personal financial advisor.
Sure.
Well, that's a really good point, because I noticed that the newer generations of the faculty, they have more interest and we talk more about it among ourselves. But I also noticed that many people, they don't know where to start and how they can learn about these resources. But Kim, you pointed out some of those resources available to us. But do you guys think that HR offices, they offer opportunities to go and talk with them about financial plannings in one-on-one settings? Or do universities usually have these firms that we can go talk with them? How does that work?
So yeah, I remember at RPI, that's actually how I did my estate planning. I actually went to a benefits fair that RPI had, and I think it was in the gymnasium or something. And I was walking around, and the university actually had a pre-selected firm, local firm, that worked with faculty for estate planning, like your living will, your executive of your estate, the whole shebang. And they were just sitting at a resource table, and it was like, yeah, we do this, and we give discounts to faculty from RPI to do their estate planning. So I was like, okay. And so I remember taking their information and I called them and I went to their office and they did my estate planning. It was the first time that I actually did it. I had a living will, I had a healthcare proxy, executive estate, and it was one more thing. It was like three main things that they request that most people have. And so I got those three things and it was reasonably priced and they gave us a lot of information. And one of the things I really remember, it stuck out in my mind that I had never thought about, was they told me that when you choose your executor of your estate, you want to choose someone who has comparable income as you. And I had never thought about it because the first thing you think about when you're planning your estate or when you're thinking about who you're going to leave money to, you just think about family members. You're just like, I'm sister, brother, blah, blah, blah. And so when she said that, I was like, what? And so then I just probed her a little more. I said, why do you say that? And she said, well, she's seen over her lifetime that when someone chooses a family member who may not have income comparable to them, they misuse the money, or they don't really know how to deal with large sums of money because they're just thinking, oh my God, let me go splurge on random stuff because they've never run across or had that much money in their lifetime. So she advised to choose someone that has comparable income as you. And I was like, wow, that makes a lot of sense. And then that person will be fiscally responsible and they will make sure that the funds are used appropriately. So the funds can still be distributed to your family accordingly, but now you have someone that really doesn't have an interest because they have the same amount of money roughly as you. So I thought that was the best advice I had ever heard. And I immediately told Lucy so she can put it in her spreadsheet. So yes, to get back to your question, I think RPI did do that. And at Howard, we have our own business school and the law school. So it's pretty easy to find people in the DC area that's affiliated with the university or have their own firm to do that with. Then you also have to ask, because it's not something you would immediately think of to call HR to find out if they work with a local law firm to do estate planning or financial planning. But when you think about it, they are also vested in the interests of their stakeholders. And it's probably something that maybe higher level administrators have asked, not necessarily faculty members. And so they have these people on call. So I do think universities do probably offer it. It's just not a commonly asked question by faculty members.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kim. Yeah, I think that, yeah, it's at least, I don't think that they are advertising it, at least in my school. So like, hey, this is the agency, you want to go? But I didn't know that rule. But when I said that Lucy can become my financial advisor, I know she wouldn't take all my money because she's making more money than me.
Wait, I have to say that you have to make it work Lucy's wow. So you have to make sure she has a travel allowance, that she's able to get a rental car so that she can get back and forth in Utah to take care of your estate. You have to make sure she eats well. You should make sure she has a per diem. So you should make sure that the person that you choose, not only they'll make more than you or comparable, but you should make sure they're taken care of and make sure that they can eat well while they're there and they're hydrated. Do a little bit of self-care. Make sure she has an allowance for a massage or something, acupuncture. So you want to take care of her. It's going to be a really stressful time. I mean, Pania, we really don't want to see you go. But if you have to, we want to make sure that we're taken care of. And make sure you add me to the list because Lucy's going to need someone to talk to.
Emotional support. Yeah,
she's going to need emotional support. Just make sure you multiply times
and all
2.
the expenses from DC to Utah.
Exactly. I mean,
yeah. I guess I better quit my job than hiring a financial advisor. Or I better go learn it on my own, become another Lucy and have spreadsheets everywhere. And so.
You know, it's so very interesting that these things we're joking about it, but these things are quite important because I remember I had surgery while I was here in DC and I had to put down emergency contact. and I had to put down like a proxy in case something went wrong. And I have a friend, and I was like, if I was on life support, she would just keep me there for decades. Like it would just be 20 years later, I'm still on life support. She just would not pull the plug. So I literally said, I cannot have her as and she was so offended. She was like, you don't, I was like, girl, you would have me on life support for like 30 years. No, you cannot be the emergency contact. You cannot be the healthcare proxy. So you also have to think very honestly about what that person would do. You can't just say, oh, just because we've been friends for so long, like you have to know your friends very well. Lucy would be like, it's been 10 minutes, pull a plug. Be like, okay.
Like, oh,
so
9 minutes, 59.
Lucy would be like,
We are
the Lucy would be like, the spreadsheet said in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So, you know.
And I'll be like your other friend. I'll be like, no, sitting there praying and asking, oh, 20 years passed. I'm still there, the same clothes, hoping that miracle happens.
Yes, Pania would be the friend that's like, I think I saw her hand move. Be like, girl, her hand didn't.
Oh, you guys are killing me.
Back to financial support and advisor. So,
Let me say, I also think RPI has done a wonderful job in that regard. I know I manage my own in terms of investment and everything, but once in a while, I think almost on a monthly basis within the university news, like daily news type of thing, there's always, say, Fidelity has representative meeting with you in person or online. These are all free. These are free consultation sessions that you can schedule. So I did that a couple of times. Just I feel like maybe I can learn something with them. And occasionally I do. And I've met one person so far that I regard him at high level because he answered all my questions and they are consistent with the answers in my head. So I'm like, oh my gosh, he got this. No hesitation in answering any of those questions. But these are the resources that I really think, especially junior faculty, first job, maybe even, you have no idea what the difference is between a Roth 401k and a traditional 401k. Oh my gosh, do you choose 1% or do you choose 5%, 10%? There are so many numbers and so many different options, and you choose. These are all your choices. So before you do that, perhaps talking to some of these people will be a great idea, just to understand, at least within that realm of options, what can you do? What are the costs and benefits? Just simply understanding what those terms are, I think that would be very helpful. And then later on, maybe have that free consultation with these representatives once every year, just to make sure that you are still understanding this correctly. And perhaps they can provide some advice for you in terms of what the balance should be, though I do meet with them, even though I think I know what I need to do. It's resources, and they're free. They're all provided.
what do you guys think about the relationship between financial well-being of the faculty and their work? Is there any influence? And if there is, how?
I definitely think there's a benefit. I think, as Lucy alluded to, you're more confident, you're more secure, you're not working to pay for expenses after you retire. I think it provides more flexibility. For me, I think it gives all of the above, but I also think it gives me an opportunity to help educate my friends and my family members. I always say that getting a PhD in physics was multifaceted. One is something that I wanted to do, provide a stable income, et cetera. But another thing it does is I'm a resource to my family. So now, because I'm able to understand this financially from a mathematical point of view, from a higher viewpoint, Then I can educate my family and say to my sister, hey, do you have this type of thing? And because they trust me, she'll go check. And then she'll just say, look, my sister said, I need to have this. And they'll be like, who's your sister? But I think it's important that I use the information that I have, my experience and the education and the resources that I have to educate my family members who are not thinking that way. So I feel like it's very important for me to be on top of it. And then I can talk to my niece, because this is not something that my family talks about. It's not something that we talk about at all. And so I think I have to do my due diligence and make sure that they're all set to retire.
I agree. I think it's a skill that you can provide and to help the community that you care about, right? Your family. I've been planning for my retirement from day one, right? So everybody put in some money, but I've never really calculated in a way where I'm predicting at what age I can retire. Not that I would retire at that age, but I recently did that number. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
I should have retired 20 years ago, huh?
I'm like, it's a sense of security, that sense of, geez, I don't have to care about anything that I do right now, is really enlightening to everything that I'm doing. In fact, I do everything right now with great amount of joy. Additional. Now, I mean, I'm very happy with what I'm doing now already, but this gives me a sense of joy. I am purely doing it for my own enjoyment. I think it was something I'd never thought about before. People, when they talk about retirement and they think, okay, this is the end of my career, and then what do I do next? In fact, this actually did the opposite. I now do everything with great amount of purpose, because I know I'm not doing it to please anybody. I am really doing something because I really enjoy doing it. So it was something I did not expect. Yeah, so I think it's worth kind of doing. There are people who live to work. There are also people to work to live. So I think having that planning, that prediction in your head, you have a better perspective. And I think the earlier you do it, the better. This is my own personal experience, and I think I enjoy working so much more. I mean, I'm already enjoying it, but this adds that whole layer that I didn't know existed. And now I work purely for the joy of working, and I can retire anytime. I'm okay. It's give me a different perspective, and I really, really recommend people do that exercise.
That was really nice, Lucy, and thank you for sharing it. I think being aware of your finances, that's why it put you in that place. If you were just waiting for it and then till like you get 65 and then say, oh, let's see where I'm standing, I don't think that it will work. Like, you've been aware, you've been utilizing these resources, you've been studying and then trying to become familiar with the options that you have. Probably that's why it put you in that stage. But it was a really good example of the relationship between financial well-being and then the normal life outside academia.
Can I just also insert, I have a project that I'm planning for our School of Engineering, and then part of that program that I'm trying to put together is actually to form a small community for people to talk about this, to learn from each other, to share information, share resources, particularly for early career faculty. So I'm putting that together.
Oh, that's exciting. So you should come and tell us about their reactions. So how often do you think that a faculty member should review their finances?
I think I usually do it for my birthday. So it's easy to remember. It's sort of like your driver's license. You do it every year, and I just schedule the appointment. And it's not something that I'm like, oh boy, I got to go do this. I mean, it's pretty easy. I mean, because they kind of do all of the work for you. And sometimes they just want to check in. And sometimes you have goals that you didn't even think should be considered in terms of a long-term financial planning. Like when I wanted to do my kitchen, I didn't think that required a long-term financial planning. But when you think about if you want to pay your kitchen in cash and not have a loan, then yeah, it does impact like the very short term, right? Buying a car, right? They can give you an idea of when is a good time to buy a car, and whether you should wait for it, whether you should put your down payment on your car using a credit card. Like that's something that when you are financially healthy, you can actually consider, because you have good credit rating, and maybe your interest rate on your car, because you have such high credit, is very low compared to a loan that you would get. So when you're financially healthy, there are so many more options that you have versus these traditional options when you go buy a car, let me go get a loan, And so I think just having those conversations regularly, it's really good.
I also do about once a year, usually sort of in January, just so that the previous year has completed, just so I have a sense of where I am. So I have it's the same thing. You set a particular time frame, you can look at the progression.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Like I was just thinking that even at work, we need on a monthly basis to go review our expenses. I mean, at least there are other people that they check it too, but regularity, that what Kim was mentioning, it not as often as that. I guess it's a key. Thank you, ladies, for the discussion and sharing your thoughts. As we discussed, financial literacy empowers individuals to make informed decisions, plan for the future, and overcome unexpected challenges. Let's hope our audience are empowered to take a closer look at their finances and hope their financial endeavors be as enriching as their scholarly efforts.
Thank you so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed this conversation. You can follow us on Facebook and listen to our latest episodes on iTunes, Spotify, or Amazon Music. We'd like to thank our sponsor, the School of Engineering at Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, for sponsoring this episode. If you're interested in being a sponsor, then please contact us at sponsor@thisacademiclife.org. Join us next time for the good, the bad, and the ugly of this academic life.